Hi everyone. Okay, thanks for checking out my video. So the last two lessons we talked about basically just how to model the situation where one gene is being expressed. So this is the DNA coding for RNA, which then codes for a protein. This is called gene expression, and we talked about modeling that for one gene, which is called the central dogma of biology. So in this lesson, we're going to expand that and actually talk about a two-gene model. So we're going to be modeling two genes being expressed and a situation where one gene is actually playing a role in the transcription of another gene. So okay, so let's get started. So we have our DNA here. This is kind of be kind of the same idea as last time, where we have two genes. Call it gene 1 and gene 2, and then each one is expressed into a protein. So at this point, you guys might be kind of like calling me out, saying like, hey, like, what's Mike talking about? A gene doesn't just code for a protein, a gene codes for RNA, and then the RNA is translated into a protein. So you guys are right, and it's good if you picked up on this and are calling me out on it. So you're totally right to be noticing this. But so in this model, I'm doing this on purpose to make a simplification. So we could have this step here of the gene coding to RNA and then RNA to protein. But in order to simplify things and just make it so we only have two equations, I'm simplifying things and just doing all of it in one step. So this is just going to be the gene coding for the gene being expressed as a protein. That will all be covered in one equation in this. So you're right to sort of notice that this is a simplification, but that's actually okay. And so I guess we can get a little bit into like the philosophy of modeling here. But so one thing my advisor says a lot is that all models are wrong, but some are useful. So the idea behind that is that all models involve making simplifications, and the point of a model isn't to be like 100% perfect representation of the world. The point of a model is just to be useful. So if we can have a model that is simplified but is useful, then that's good. And actually, if a model, even the last one, even the gene coding for RNA, coding for protein, even that was making a lot of simplifications. Like we didn't actually include like a ribosome parameter there, or we didn't include like the like spatial location of everything. So even that was like simplifying things. So yeah, I mean, this is like a bit of a tangent here, but if you guys are noticing like we're skipping the RNA step, you're totally right, but that's actually okay because we're just trying to make things useful, and if that involves making a simplification, then we're going to make a simplification. But yeah, so in here you can think about this. The RNA step is in here, like this expression. The RNA step is just included in this, but we're just going to express it as a gene expressing a protein. Okay, so yeah, so that's a bit of a tangent there on like the philosophy of modeling, and then each protein will be degraded at some rate. And then so here's where will be sort of the new thing we're going to talk about. So we're going to say that gene 1 is actually facilitating the expression of gene 2. So what do I mean by that? So this could be, there are things called transcription factors. These are proteins. They're proteins that are coded for by one gene that are involved in the transcription of another gene. So what a transcription factor might do is actually like bind to, it might bind to like the promoter region here. It might bind here and then make it easier for RNA polymerase to attach here and begin transcribing this gene here. So that's just one example of how it might work, but that's sort of one example. But the point here is that gene 1 is facilitating the expression of gene 2. We call this activation. It's activating the expression of gene 2. Okay, so next let's take a look at the math. Okay, so this is the system of ODEs we're going to use to model this situation where one gene is activating another gene. So I know it looks like a lot at first, but we're going to go through each term and sort of break it down and hopefully make it simple. Okay, so we'll start here with gene 1. So we have K sub 1. This is the production rate for gene 1. So it's kind of similar to the one gene model, where this is just the rate at which the protein is being produced. But remember, with this model here, this includes both the DNA to RNA step as well as the RNA to protein step. So both of those are kind of baked into this term here. And then we have gamma sub 1. This is the degradation rate for gene 1. So again, kind of similar to the one gene model. This is just the rate at which the protein from gene 1 is being broken down. Then gamma sub 2, just the degradation rate for gene 2. Same thing, just the rate at which the protein from gene 2 is being broken down. And then K sub 2, this is the maximum production rate for gene 2. Okay, so let's get to kind of the elephant in the room here. Kind of been saving this for last. And don't worry, because I know it looks scary. And definitely the first time I saw this thing, I also was like, oh my gosh, this is really scary. But we're gonna kind of talk about it and hopefully make it intuitive and explain how it's actually like not so bad. Okay, so let's just talk about each of these parameters first. So C is just some constant, and then N is just some fixed constant that everything is just being put to the power of. So basically, this whole term here is just this whole thing is just a constant. It's a constant being put to another constant power. But then so we have gene 1 here. So as you can see, gene 1 is playing a role in the gene 2 ODE, which is what we want, because remember, the point of this whole thing is to model the situation where gene 1 is activating the production of gene 2. But so this whole thing, by the way, is called the Hill function. And so the point of this is that it'll start at 0 and kind of saturate to 1 as we get more and more of gene 1. But so to make this intuitive, let's talk about some edge cases. So what if we have 0 of gene 1? So with 0 of gene 1, this whole thing will actually just be 0. And if this whole thing is 0, then that means the production rate of gene 2 is going to be 0 times K sub 2, which will just be 0. So if we have 0 of gene 1, then we also have 0 production of gene 2. Now, what about if we have a really, really big number of gene 1? Like, this is not realistic, but let's just say like 1 billion of gene 1. Then what will this be? Well, this will be 1 billion to the nth power over 1 billion to the nth power plus some constant that is a lot less than 1 billion. So at that point, we're getting to the point where this is really just approaching 1. So this will never actually get to 1. But as we get more and more of gene 1, this whole term approaches 1. So at that point, we have almost 1 times K sub 2 for the production rate for gene 2. So yes, that's kind of the idea. It's kind of, this whole thing is just, it starts off at 0 if we have 0 of gene 1. And then as we get more and more of gene 1, this term gets greater and greater until it kind of saturates out to 1. So another thing I like about this is it's actually, this whole thing is kind of like an unintentional pun too, because it's called the Hill function because the guy who invented it was named Hill. But if we plot it, you can see it actually kind of looks like a hill. And so maybe I'm just being kind of nerdy for thinking this is funny, but I think this is kind of funny that it's named after a guy named Hill and the function itself actually looks like a hill. But anyway, that's kind of a good way to remember it. But and also to visualize it, how it kind of saturates out. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the basic idea. So gene 1 is kind of just a regular equation, and then gene 2, the degradation is regular, but the production depends on gene 1, and as we get more and more of gene 1, we get closer to the maximum K sub 2 production rate. Okay, so that's all for this lesson. Next lesson, we'll talk about how to program the simulation of this. Thanks for watching.